now, right? So
here we go. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, everybody. Welcome to this episode of the Note Closer Show. As always, Scott Carson, excited to be here with you today. Big shout out to our Note Nation listeners all across the country who are listening in on our different AM, FM radio stations, along with all our podcast and iTunes listeners. Thank you so much for listening and helping to make the Note Closer Show what it is today. But we are excited. It's been a few weeks since we've had our good buddy Merrill Chandler join us, the fundability expert on how to get you effable out there, who's been gallivanting across the United States on his funding roadshow with him and his sidekick Jesse together. But we're excited to have you guys back here because we've got a really great episode here on the Note Closer today. I think everybody's going to take some notes on this, right, Merrill?
Absolutely. Guys, grab a pen and paper if you haven't got one already, because all of you can get a transcription of this later. I'm telling you, you got to know what we're talking about today, because it literally is it takes us to the pointy end of the credit myth spear, right? So we got to cut away the fat and get to the truth of the matter. And so let's talk about the lies first, right?
Yes, that's the thing, because from knowing you for years and then going through your the boot camp and online, and you did an amazing webinar last night on mortgage securitization out to the funding hackers group and the funding hacking boot camp, which was great. We'll get through those dates a little bit later on. But I was thinking about what are we going to talk about today, and there's always so many myths, and that's one of the biggest ahas that we have from people going through the funding hacking boot camp is the myths we're all taught. So I thought, hey, let's do the 10 biggest myths. And you're like, oh, that's even awesome. We'll start with the falsehoods and come back with the counter, the truce of the top 10. How's that sound? Work for you, Merrill?
Yeah, works for me. Let's get rid of what is not true.
So the number 10, and work our way up here. The number 10 myth, Merrill, about credit is what?
All right. So number 10 is that paying your loans off early is a good thing. Okay, number 10, and paying, which is the corollary, that paying interest is bad. All right, so we're going right up against everything that we would talk about with our dear friend and compatriot in the financial marketplace, David Ramsey. Interest is bad. I was taught growing up, to tell a quick story, I was taught that in playing Monopoly, my uncle would always tell all the kids who were playing, they would say like, okay, now the banker, who wants to be the banker? And we had all, nobody wants to raise their hand because that's just a pain in the butt, right? But he said, oh, now the banker, because it is a pain in the butt, the banker gets to charge interest. So we went off script with the game, and you started charging interest. Now, as you guys all know, in a closed circuit, closed system, whoever charges the interest in that system is going to collect all the money ultimately, right? So we've been programmed, and we hated him. He won every single time. And I learned the myth, just like everybody else, that paying interest is bad. The thing is this goes with our with number 9 as well, that debt is bad. So let's talk about both of those together. That debt is not bad if it is strategic to your long-term goals. If you're looking to be a real estate investor or a note buyer, an entrepreneur, there is no bank in the country, no financial institution in the country that is going to just look at your driver's license and go, you know what, you look like an honest fella, I'm going to give you $50,000, right? It's not going to happen. They want to see proof. They call it your performance data on all your previous loans. If you don't have debt that you're servicing on a monthly basis, they got nothing to go on. But the second you incur debt, you also have interest. Now, people say, even in last night's conversation, people were going back and forth saying, hold it, but I'd rather get a lower interest auto loan with a credit union than a tier 1 or tier 2 bank. So here's the framework we always teach. That if you had $1 million, would you spend money, cold hard cash, protecting that $1 million call it gold bullion. Would you buy security? You can't put it in a bank. Would you pay money to protect that $1 million? Why? Because that $1 million in gold bullion is a asset. Most of us, here comes the myth, most of us have been taught, the vast majority of us have been taught that our credit reputation is not an asset. Paying interest belongs on the profit and loss statement, right? So you minimize expenses to improve your profits. Well, if it's an asset, you pay money to protect it, but you try and minimize the costs if it's on P&L. That's why there's P&Ls and balance sheets, right? Or asset statements. Your single greatest financial reputation and biggest financial asset is your credit profile, your borrower profile, that we call it. Your borrower profile is everything. Once you, so if you minimize and you don't invest in that borrower profile, no one's going to give you the things to buy those multifamilies, buy those tranches of notes, and expand your business. Now, if you're never going to do it, if you're going to die a W-2, no harm, no foul. If you're going to die a W-2, if you're going to take what comes to you and work off Social Security and work at Walmart, I shame everybody as I say this. No harm, no foul. But if you're going to work at Walmart, when you're 70 years old, make ends meet, then don't incur debt and don't pay interest. But if you want to value your personal financial reputation, it is the single greatest leverageable asset that you have. And that requires giving current and future lenders something they can sink their teeth into and see how you treat other people's money, OPM. So number 10 is paying interest is bad. It's not bad. It's strategic. I'm not saying go get a bunch of debt. I'll show you how to have perfect amounts of debt. Number 9, debt is bad. It's not bad. It is strategic. And we want to leverage that so people give us really inexpensive money to do really awesome things, like everybody who is picking up notes and real estate, et cetera, et cetera.
It's all about leverage too. And what you're, one of the biggest questions people ask, well, should I pay my house off early? I'm like, no, if you've got like a 5% interest or less,
cheapest money on the planet.
Cheapest money on the planet. Take your money and go out and invest it and make you 8, 10, 12% versus sinking it into an asset that you pay off. Now you can't do anything with that equity without having to go back and get a loan against it. So save it, leverage it, and go from there. Great 2 points. Number 10, that paying interest is bad. Number 9, that debt is bad, which we both know to be incorrect. That's awesome. Okay, so what is number 8?
Okay. So number 8, it's best to pay your balance to 0 every month.
Sorry.
So Scott already went to my Funding Hackers Bootcamp and learned deepest possible dive into this technology, right? There is a secret date that you'll have to go to the bootcamp to get the deep dive. But here's the Reader's Digest condensed version. There's a secret date that's called the reporting date. It's the date every one of your accounts gets reported to the bureaus. Most of those dates are in the middle of your billing cycle. So every single time you believe you're paying your balance down to 0, you pull a credit report, it will show an artificial balance, which then messes up your utilization, which drops your credit score, and more importantly, ruins your fundability. So words out of Ethan Dormhorn's mouth. He's the chief scientist over the credit score development teams, personal and business. When we asked him, so what kind of balance do we keep? And he says, I can't tell you the exact number because there is a formula, and we have dialed that in significantly. I've been NDA'd, signed an NDA from FICO, but he said less is better than more when it comes to a balance. Some is better than none. And there is that little magical thing. Some people say, oh, it's less than 30%. No, it's far less than that. You need to find out, again, in the Funding Hackers Bootcamp, we literally go through the metrics of measuring all this. So I can't tell you what your balance should be, but you will go through and find out exactly what it should be, at least as a cursory amount. So number 8, it's best to pay your balance off every month. No, it's best to have a small balance, and then the mechanics of working all of that out is available to all of us. But no, zero balance is not a thing if you're looking to look awesome to current and future lenders.
That's why people also get all bent out of shape, like you said. Oh, I paid my credit card off each month. Why does it keep showing that I have a balance? It's all about the reporting date. If you think that's halfway through the month, or compared to where your where your payoff number is, or is it vary a little bit, week before, week after? Does it vary?
Yeah, exactly. There is a measurement, but again, you went through we have document. It's a workshop. This is not a sales pitch. You don't go to Funding Hackers boot camp and we do a deep dive using documents that examine your very own credit profile and your borrower profile metrics. So
exactly. Good stuff. All right. So that's number 8. What's number 7 here on the 10 biggest myths of credit?
All right. Number 7. All credit cards are created equal. See, he knows this stuff because we addressed every one of these and literally 24 more myths than the ones we're talking about at the boot camp, right? But all credit cards are not created equal. There's actually 16 different valuations for credit cards. Yep, I just said 16. There are 4 tiers of institutions: tier 1, 2, 3, and 4. Tier 1 is the best. Tiers of institutions, and then there's point value contribution of 100%, 80%, 60%, and 40%. So that matrix creates 16 different ways that different credit cards and even loans, all credit instruments, fit within these 16 dynamics. And the best is tier 1, 100%, and the worst is tier 4, 40%. And I'll give you a hint right now. All mall store cards, every retail card that you get at a mall is a tier 4, 40% junk card, low value card that actually hurts and harms your credit profile. And your borrower profile is your FICO actually gives a negative tick. It's called a negative indicator on your credit profile. If you have even one of those, it says, there is a consumer finance account on this credit profile. Bad juju. So now you can be a consumer profile, Godspeed, God bless, or you can be a professional borrower profile. Guess which one gets the $50,000 and $100,000 business lines of credit from multiple banks?
Professional.
Exactly.
So my Victoria's Secrets card is hurting me then, is what you're saying.
Yes, but you have to evaluate your lifestyle choices in order to make sure that you have, because we only do all of this to have a good, high quality of life, right? And exactly. So if right. A quick story. So I did have one woman who watched my presentation and she was like, she had watched the Funding Hackers Bootcamp. She came up to me and said, Merrill, I want to do some coaching with you. I want the details in my particular situation, but I'm telling you right now, I'm not getting rid of my Kohl's card. And I'm like, I'm sorry to hear that. No, I said, so many people requested, but can I keep this? Can I keep that? That we actually have an allowance in our model, in our funding model, to what we call a lifestyle card allowance. So yes, you can, if you have to, you can keep your Victoria's Secret card, Mr. Scott Carson.
Thank you. I appreciate it. That's good stuff. All right. That takes us, I believe, to number 6 or number 7?
6.
Number 6, biggest myth when it comes to credit.
Yeah.
I'm not wearing a garter belt. I'll tell you that right now.
Yes. Paying your bills on time is all you need to do to have great credit. Okay. Now, there's a couple of little misdirects in there. First of all, what is great credit? Most people think great credit is a score. We'll talk about that later. Great credit really means, will a lender lend me money? Can I get a mortgage, an auto loan, business line of credit, commercial loan, real estate, etc.? Good credit we define as fundable. You're not fundable I don't care if you have an 800, and there are plenty of people out there who have 800 plus credit, but don't have the $1 million in business credit lines that should go with that. So great credit, we got to define it. Then they're saying paying bills on time is all I have to do. No. So I'm sitting at an event, and I do a presentation, and this sweet woman comes up and says, "Look, here's the thing. I already have an 820 credit score," and I'm like, "That's awesome. Where's the $1 million in business credit lines that go with that? Why are we talking if you've already got that?" "Well, no one will lend money to me." And I'm like, "So why do you think you have an 800 plus score?" And she says, "I pay my bills on time." So that's the myth. FICO measures 40 characteristics of your personal credit profile. That borrower profile, 40 metrics. Paying your bills on time is one of them. And we already know that we don't want to keep a zero balance, but to be determined what the balance should be. But I'm telling you, paying your bills on time is one of 40 things that is measured by FICO for your borrower profile. They make you fundable. And the reason why she had an 820 and couldn't get a dime is because it was all of her. A high credit score technically means you just get more of what you've already got. She had a lot of consumer accounts. And so while she would qualify for the highest and best rates for a new mall store card, Chase Bank is not going to give you a $50,000 business line of credit on your Home Depot reputation. So number 6, paying your bills on time is all you need to have good credit. First of all, what is good credit? It's being fundable. And no, paying your bills on time is one of 40 things.
Awesome. Good stuff. So that takes us number 6 then. Is that correct?
Yeah. No, we're not on number 5.
Okay, hang on. So let's recap 10 through 5. What's number 10?
10 is paying interest is bad.
Paying interest is bad.
9,
Number 9.
debt is bad.
Number 8.
It is best to pay your balance off every month.
Number 7.
Number 7, all credit cards are created equal.
And number 5.
Number 6, paying your bills on time is all you need to do to have good credit.
Awesome. 5 golden rings.
Well done. Oh, barbershop quartet time. Here we go.
Right. That's right there. All right. So that takes us to the top half. What's number 5?
Number 5 is credit is bad or good. Bad credit is bad. Good credit is good. It's black or white. And you know this from the boot camp, is that it is a spectrum of gray, people, right? Because everybody defines good credit and bad credit as, do I have derogatory accounts or do I not have derogatory accounts? But nobody until we're having this conversation, until Funding Hackers was born, nobody was having the conversation, am I fundable or not fundable? So the solution to this myth is stop talking about good credit and bad credit. It's not about good credit or bad credit. Is it, are you fundable or not fundable? Are people giving you money or not giving you money? And getting a car is different than getting a $50,000 business line of credit. If they can give you a car, but not a $50,000 business line of credit, you're not fundable for the thing that you can leverage, write a check, do a deal, and make things happen in your life, right? So the myth is good credit. Credit is bad or good. It is not. It's, are you fundable or not fundable, number 1. And then the degree of fundability. Are you meeting your goals? Are you hitting the thing as a real estate investor, as a note buyer, as an entrepreneur? Do you have the financial instruments to promote to promote and move your business forward? If you do not, you are not fundable. You can have great credit. You may not have a single negative account and still not get a dime, guys. Yet I have clients who have derogatory accounts, literal late pays or collections or bankruptcy on their credit profile, and are fundable because it's not about good or bad credit or good or bad accounts. It's about what have you done for what metrics have you given the underwriting software, the approval software for lenders in FICO that prove that this new lender should give you money. What have you given to them on your personal credit profile, that borrower profile, what are you telling them where they'll be like, hey, I want to give them some money, even if you have a negative account. So number 5, credit is good or bad. Nope. It's, are you fundable or are you not fundable?
So would you say it's 40 shades of gray?
Right. It's 40. Yeah. FICO 40 shades of gray. You're funding gray. Right. And here's the other thing. I'll even add a little more, and I'll go into a little more detail on that one. Guess what, guys? It's one thing to get a $5,000 credit card. It's another level of fundable to get a $100,000 business line of credit unsecured at prime plus 1.5%, 2%. Guys, that's why it is 40 shades of gray. Because just because someone gives you $5,000 in a credit card doesn't mean that they're going to entrust you with their most precious credit instrument. Write a check, do a deal. Those are the scales. So yeah, exactly. It is variable on approval. Not all approval. Ooh, that's a good one. Sky, write that down. Not all approvals are created equal.
Got it.
Thank you, Sky. Sky's in the background for those that can't watch.
Hi, Sky, to all of our listening audience. Sky, it catches all the fly balls that I have. That I get it down on paper so we can put it in the Funny Hackers boot camp.
She's the proverbial Merrill fly catcher.
No, truly. I'm like,
Good stuff. So that was number 5. That takes us to number 4, correct?
yes.
Number 4, biggest myth when it comes to credit is
Credit scoring is a simple process. Now, we're going to get it. People say, I have a credit score. We'll get into that in a second. Credit scoring is, remember now, we have 40 characteristics that are being measured. Now, I'll blow your mind just a little bit further. There are 13 scorecards that those 40 characteristics are grouped into, for 8 for good credit and 5 for bad credit, because those scorecards are like, think of the 40 characteristics as ingredients in a piece of cake. Well, the 13 positive, they put in certain amounts to make this ingredient to create an 800 plus fundable profile. All the way on the other one, the 5 negative, the 5 scorecards that deal with derogatory accounts. Is it a bankruptcy or late pay? Is the collection over $100, under $100? There's a whole group of them. There's 13 different ways that they shape shift those 40 characteristics to fit your model. I won't even get further than that. You know me, I start geeking out, right? Especially with somebody who knows most of what I'm talking about already. So that it is not a simple process, but it creates a simple result. That's why our students, when we teach in the boot camp, when in a coaching client, we don't care about score. We care about the quality of the profile, because that borrower profile is what lenders software is going to look at. That's what a lender is going to approve you on. So we know that scores follow the profile, but profiles don't necessarily represent a good score. So it's kind of it's a non-symbiotic relationship.
No, I get it. But that's it. And that's the thing that's beautiful about Fund and Hack and Boot Camp is you got the scorecards. We literally are going through, pulling off the credit bureau reports from the 3 major ones and filling it out to kind of see where that starting point is to build that fundability profile, fundable profile, right?
Yep, that's correct. So credit scoring is not simple. It's not just, and it's not to create mystery. It's simply that there are a number of ways to skin this fundability cat. The beautiful thing is that the score, the FICO process, the algorithm, is so trustworthy that lenders are now moving to automatic underwriting from having human beings do manual underwriting. They're moving even mortgages. There are a few automatic underwriting mortgages coming up, which has been the slowest because they have to fit the Fannie Freddie guidelines, right, to be conforming for the secondary markets. Mm-hmm. They are even coming online to automatic underwriting, which means you fill out an application, your docs, they review your docs, and you don't even talk to a human being. So that so it is highly predictive. And if it's highly predictive and we know what they're trying to predict, guys, that's why we call it funding hacking, because we know the inside scoop. We're not taking advantage of the system. We're looking at the inside scoop of what they're trying to measure, and then comporting, changing, and modifying our borrowing behavior to reflect what they need to see. And they'll be like, "Oh yeah, you look great."
Good stuff. That takes us to the top three of
That
where
is
we're at. So
correct.
number three, what's the number three myth associated with credit?
Number three, becoming an authorized user is a great way to build your credit score. Not so, ladies and gentlemen. Let me tell you again. I harken back to I have met with the credit score development teams, both business and personal, at FICO 2 times in a row. And this November, I'm going back again for our third round with a whole new slew of dialing in questions so that we can make this process, this fundability process, even easier to implement. So out of the mouth of the team at FICO, they said that they only count an authorized user 40% positive points. So let's say you own an account and let's say you get 100% of the possible points. Let's call it 100 points. If you're an authorized user, you only get 40% of those points. You only get 40 points contributing to your profile. But if they have a high balance, it counts 100% against you negatively. If they have if they go late on a payment or over limit on a payment, it goes 100%, not 40% negative. It's you inherit 100% of the negative impact that the owner of the account has. Now, the part of the myth of the authorized user, sure, people have done it. Hey, my son or daughter is going to college. I just want an emergency card or otherwise. But when they see a score responding positively to that authorized user account, once again, we're deceived that it's all about a credit score. And then we say, oh, authorized users must be good. None of that is true. A high score is not fundable, guys, period. A high score is not fundable. It doesn't mean fundability by itself. Let me restate that. A high score does not mean fundable. We get fundable high scores all the time, but they're based on fundamental metrics that FICO is measuring, right? So the authorized users, no bueno. There are better and easier and cheaper ways to get your son or your daughter or a significant other a fundable profile. We don't care about score. Don't care about score. We care about fundability. And if they're not fundable, doesn't matter what score they have. So myth number three, becoming an authorized user will help you build your credit score. The score doesn't matter. Notice how many of these myths we're actually pulling the rug out from underneath the premise of the question. We've been trained wrong on every one of these. Score doesn't matter. Fundability matters. Whether or not you're fundable, that's what matters. And authorized users do not make you fundable because you don't get to ride on the coattail of somebody else's payment responsibilities.
Only 40% of the good, all the bad, though.
All the bad. Absolutely.
That takes us to number two, a myth.
All right. Credit approvals are based on credit score.
Oh,
We kind of implied this throughout some of the other ones, but now we get to take it head on. Guys, your score does not, your score may very well be the third or fourth most important funding metric. There are at least two, if not three, more important funding metrics that they look at. And all those metrics, those top three, if score is 4, those top three are based on your borrower profile, the quality, all the things we talked about, quality that counts, how fastidious you are in certain behaviors. What is the past 24 months, the 24-month look back period? All of those things count more than your score. Your score it addresses a completely different metric. And so we need you to focus on what makes you fundable, and your credit score is not that thing.
That's a big one. That is a big one there. But I'm interested in the number one thing. But before we bring back the number one thing, let's do a quick recap. Number 5 is what again?
Credit is bad or good. There is good credit and there is bad credit.
Number 4.
All about fundability. Yes.
All about fundability. What's number 4?
Credit scoring is a simple process.
Okay.
Credit scoring is 40 characteristics spread out between 13 different what they call scorecards or buckets, and you fit into one of those 13 buckets, and you're graded by the bucket you're in, not just the 40 characteristics. You get positive points or negative downturn on not positive points as in score points. You get positive fundability points or negative fundability points based on what bucket you're in.
Number 3.
Authorized users help you build your score.
No.
We don't even care about the score. Guys, we don't care about the score. Okay.
Number 2.
Credit approvals are based on scores.
That takes us to the number one biggest myth when it comes to credit.
Here we go. Number 1, the biggest myth you run into, and I'll tell a story. It said, but I have a good credit score. There is no such thing, guys, as a credit score. There are dozens of credit scores. There are mortgage scores. There's a TransUnion, Experian, and Equifax mortgage score. There's an auto score for Experian, TransUnion, and Equifax. And then there's 3 versions of software, 5, 4, 2, 8, and 9 for just the auto, for just TransUnion. There are 28 consumer-facing scores for all manner of lending decisions. And then there's the fake scores, the FICO scores that your bank or financial institution sends you and say, hey, we're giving you a credit score. Well, yes, it's FICO. That's more legit than all the FICO scores out there. But guess what? No lender uses the score that is being given to you by Bank of America, American Express, all your banks. They don't use that score. So the number one myth is that you have a credit score. We already talked about whether or not it matters, because it doesn't. It's third or fourth in line for funding priority, right? But you have dozens of them, guys, dozens. And unless you know what you're doing, you'll walk into a lender, you don't know what bureau they're pulling, what score they're pulling, and what version of that score they're pulling. You got 3 strikes against you, and you're thinking you're walking in there. And number 1, the FICO score of the FICO score of all FICO scores. I'm sorry to be the bearer of bad news. If you are a subscriber to any score that does not have the FICO logo, listen to this, Credit Karma subscribers. Those are all fake scores. No lender uses Credit Karma scores, and so you're not using a legitimate score to make a buying decision, whether personal or business. Nobody uses Credit Karma. It's free, awesome, but it's worthless. It's worthless. So you don't have a credit score, and you got to make sure it's the right credit score to make any kind of to know what you're doing when you walk into this. Into a lender. You got to know who they're pulling, what version, and what FICO metric they're using.
Mm-hmm. Good stuff with that one there, number 1 there. Now, do you find yourself and your team having to rehash those over and over and over again with clients?
All right. So great question. The whole reason why we have a Funding Hackers Bootcamp is because I have literally dozens of training videos, and people would watch them or not watch them, but there's no Q&A unless you send your team an email and say, hey, I have a question about this thing. We developed and put and made available live. These are not recorded. I do them live. We put together the Funding Hackers Bootcamp so that we could be present with people while they learn all of these things. And without this knowledge, you haven't got a chance out there. You're playing pickup rec rec center ball against the all-stars of the NBA, guys, and you're getting crushed out there, and you're getting no's, and you're not getting approved by the very credit instruments you think you qualify for. That's why we developed that entire thing, Scott, was because there is no way you can play rec level ball against the pros. So we're here to it's like going, now I'm switching metaphors. What's the NBA equivalent of spring training for baseball?
They have the summer league or the D League, basically.
Okay, D League. So this is you going and getting training from pro level coaches at the Funding Hackers boot camp. It's literally 2 days of just intense. Okay, imagine 16 hours, guys, of this level of intensity. It's like I've been accused of it being like drinking out of a fire hose.
Just
so, but it's relentless because I have so much I want to share, and this is the forum that we developed so that our clients. So since we did this, that was a long answer to a short question, as you know, I'm famous for. Since we instituted the Funding Hackers Bootcamp, our quality of clients and our client satisfaction and awareness has gone through the roof because they're coming out. Anybody who wants coaching, you don't have to have coaching. You can do the best you can with what you learned at the boot camp, right? But coaching clients come in, they're like, I know what I want. This is awesome. I know exactly what to do. I know what I need. Here's my situation. And they blaze forward because now they are educated at least what game we're playing, right? That you can't have a Major League Baseball scorecard up on the wall while you're playing basketball. It doesn't compute. So you got to know what game you're playing, and you got to know who you're playing against or with on the court, and that's what we do at the boot camp.
That's such a good point. That's such an important thing people have to realize. You got to be playing the right game. You got to be playing, playing in the same leagues as your competition. If you're in AAA ball, but everybody else is in the major leagues, you're going to get creamed. All right.
Yep. Totally crushed.
Really crushed there. So what we had, you actually had some other bonus ones that we didn't get to. We've got some time left. Why don't we talk about some of those bonus myths out there?
Yeah, there's a couple other let's talk about another myth, which is it's best to pay off your loans early.
I'm sorry, say that again. I had a little bit of feedback there.
It's best to pay off your loans early. Okay, so I'll give you the quick and dirty on this one. Straight out of FICO's mouth, told me that there are two ways that you get credit score points on your installment loans: mortgages, autos, student loans, personal loans, boat loans, piano loans, etc. Two ways: if it's younger than 24 months, and if the balance is above 50%. So after 50%. The points flatline. You're not getting more points for having you proven up that you can pay it down to 50%, right? And if it's younger than 24 months, they front load the points. You can be a 6-year loan, but they give you all of the credit score points at 24 months, right? So, or 70% of the points. We can get into the details at the bootcamp, but they front load the points to give you 70% of the points for that loan in the first 24. So we teach a model of how knowing this allows you to refinance, release, repurchase, re-engage a loan so that you're always maximizing the number of points. So paying it off early, but just so you know, again, straight out of FICO's mouth, that they don't even count an installment loan until it's 6 months old. You have to make at least 6 months because so many people will buy a car and they're like, "Oh, pay it off." They don't. That messes up their funding metrics, right? They want to know that you paid it for a minimum of 6 months, but it's best to pay it for at least 24 months before you pay that down.
Yeah, it's important. What's another extra myth there?
Credit scores in the 700s are great.
Wait a second. Hang on. Credit scores in the 700 is not great?
No. So remember, we're talking about the 40 Shades of Gray, right? And a 700 is Or let's put it this way. Let me put it in the frame of lenders underwriting. It doesn't matter what I believe; it's what lenders lend on, right? Tier one, the highest, the best rates, the best everything for an auto loan. You have to have a minimum of a 720. That's the floor to get the best rates on an auto loan. The floor of the best to get the best rates on a mortgage is 740. If the best rates to get up for unsecured credit cards, credit lines, personal or business, is 760. So tier one, the best score or that floor level is different. There are 20-point differences based on what you're trying to purchase. Okay. So those are minimums. We also have underwriting guidelines from all kinds of financial institutions that show the perks and things of having a fundable profile. When I say scores, always include these are profiles that have been developed to be fully fundable. I'm not talking about a score. Don't hear the score. But if you have an 800 plus fundable profile, there are some institutions that have an 840 fundable profile metric, that AAA, where you get extra bonuses or rebates or other things. Nobody knows how to get them because an 800 score is not an 800 fundable score. Are you following me? You got to have those fundamentals inside of the profile to hit these scores. But there are bonuses, bonus rates, all those things, the higher and higher you go. Just like last night's webinar where we talked about that there's the Ninja, CISA, the DB, DCBA, AA, AAA. Those are in the 830s and 840s on a fundable profile. So that is that 700s are the floor. Fundable is in the 800s, but built on a sound and structurally complete borrower profile.
Wow, that's a good one there. What's another extra myth we've got there?
An extra myth. We're just going to go through all the topics.
What the hell?
Let's see. Oh, you can't have an 800 plus credit score and still have negative accounts. That's not true. And when I say 800, remember always here, fundable profile. An 800 plus fundable profile can have derogatory accounts because these derogatory accounts do not have as much negative drag as there are positive contributions for this amazing profile. So let me break down the FICO 40, right? I call them FICO 40. FICO 40 would probably just shame me for using that term. Like, Merrill, I'm like, we call it the FICO 40. Only 10 of those 40 characteristics measure bad credit. Only 10. That means there are 30 ways to optimize your profile without even touching a negative account. So imagine optimizing 30 of these things to have just spectacular fundable metrics, and you still have a collection, bankruptcy, lien, or a judgment. You can be over 800 and still be fundable and still have derogatory accounts.
That's a good one there. Most people don't realize that. They think everything goes with it. And as you said earlier on, too, I think people miss it, too. If people have judgments or previous bad things have happened, because we had a lot of people 10 years ago went through some bad things.
Yeah.
Right?
I did myself, right? I was leveraged to the hilt following my own advice. And so, but fortunately, I know how to create a soft landing because I know what lenders are looking for. So I know how to at least manage my relationship with these lenders. So I'm just not thrown out the baby with the bathwater like many people did in 08 and 09.
Yeah, exactly. These have been amazing. 13 points. We talked about 10 and 3 bonuses there. I think people are really loving it. We had some mind blown. Junior's mind is blown. Stephanie says that not like I have a Victoria's Secrets card anyway. Yeah, exactly. But let's talk about it. You got upcoming Funded Hackers boot camps coming up.
Yep. We've got a Funding Hackers boot camp on July 27th and 28th. That July, and it's simulcast. So we're doing it live in Vegas, and we're almost full with the in-person event participants. We're almost full, so you need to go to. So we're taking all of our registrations manually right now because it's going there. So go to it's fundinghackers.com. It is where you would find the information about the ticket. It's $100, $97 to attend to 2-day event, right? So, and there's some options there depending on what if you want a strategy session with me or whatever, right? There's a whole bunch of opportunities. Fundinghackers.com. If you also want to go direct to Sky, right there, wave again, Sky. If you'd like Sky to respond to you, she will enroll you manually because that's where we're saturated. We're a month in advance. We're already packing them in. So this is really exciting. But you can also watch online, the privacy of your own underwear or pajamas. So it is, and that's how I don't know if he was in his underwear, but that's how Scott watched the Funding Hackers boot camp that he attended. And
it was not in my underwear. Was not in my underwear. I was in fully clothed. But it was it was full of content. You talk about the personal credit. The first day, that Saturday, you went through 9 to 6, 9 to 5, going through, pulling your scorecards, going through what people are seeing, and mistakes of, like, I saw mine 26 different addresses because I've moved a lot over the 10 years with different properties and things like that.
The eyes of an underwriter, right? Or you get to see what you look like through the eyes of an underwriter or the underwriting software. Absolutely.
Well, and it's the big key because I always talk to people about looking at notes from the eyes of a banker is different than a fix and flipper or a realtor. And I was like, oh my gosh, ding, 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 lights went off. And then on Sunday, you spent a big chunk of time going through the business credit, how to optimize the stuff.
Yep.
To get your lines of credit and stuff like that. And so we've had students are raving about it. We've had people that are already getting lines of credit in 90 days. They're doing the things. They're surprised. I think everybody's pleasantly surprised of where they're at.
Yeah.
And realizing now, instead of being in limbo and the unknowing of actually having a solid line, a solid foundation where they're at. Okay, yeah, I've made some mistakes in the past. Who hasn't, everybody?
Right. No. Hello. Remember, the good news about the Funding Hackers Bootcamp, guys, I stumbled my way through the last 25 years, falling on my face and everything. I just didn't take no for an answer. So I built out the personal side of optimization, and then my team are just cracked at being able to coach on all of this. And then I took on 4 years ago, took on the business funding marketplace, made that my, and created the funding metrics, and then met with FICO to verify the things that we were doing. I mean, we're actually, this is not a marketing organization. I'm a tech weenie, and I am totally committed to translating all of this into your funding pocketbook, right? That's my jollies come off of doing the math and making it work and knowing how to act in order to trigger positive approvals. Your job is to go out and acquire business lines of credit so you can write a check and do a deal. So that's our so personal on the first day, but you have to do personal because I'm going to give you a hint. Hear this carefully. FICO told me, Dave Smith at FICO, he's the SBA, the Small Business Association liaison there, said that 80% of all business approvals, business funding approvals for small businesses and entrepreneurs come from your personal credit profile. That's what they have to measure. Find out from the boot camp how this works and all that. But 80% of the decision is based on your personal. So we spend the first day on personal and the second day on shaping your funding entity so that you can get so you can qualify for the highest and most in credit lines. So it's going to be the 27th to 28th. Go to fundinghackers.com. And here's the thing, if we're past the 27th to 28th, go to fundinghackers.com or email us at bootcamp@creditsense.com, and you'll go straight to Sky, and Sky will wave one final time. She's actually talking to people right now. We'll make sure that you get into the next possible bootcamp. Okay.
Yeah, so you're going to be in, that's going to be, if you want to, or it's in Vegas, located in Las Vegas. There's going to be live streaming from Vegas.
Yeah, we'll be live streaming from Vegas.
And then the thing is, you have limited number of in-person seats, but the people that are watching online, just want everybody to know this, It's fully interactive. Since you're using the Zoom, you're also using, people can watch in from the private Facebook group. I've been able to reattend and watch some of the sessions on there. It's fully interactive. Your staff, Jessica, Cheyenne, Brad, every Sky over there does an amazing job of making sure to address any questions or concerns.
Yeah, we're all there. This is not remote viewing, guys. This is interactive. We stop after every lesson. There's 27 modules that we cover in the 2 days. And throughout every one of them, we're taking questions, we're examining. So we're solving to the degree we can without a full deep dive into your situation, to all the ways that we can. We give you every answer to every question, and we pay as much attention online as anywhere else. So,
So definitely do. And then what else? Where else are you? Because you were in Houston for the Fundability Roadshow.
Yes.
Are you going to be in Houston and later in August for the Quest Expo as well?
We're not on the books yet for Quest, but I am going river rafting on the 12th, 13th, and 14th of this month with Mark McKellar of the Homevestors crew. Adore those guys, and we're their fundability crew for Homevestors, and and every other year we go. So we need to go to the transatlantic. I want to do what you did here the last month, because we're way past professional. We need to go cruise the Atlantic.
It's time that you, me, Jason, Aaron, Tom, Tracy, and a few others get together for an
cruise instead of at Epcot, our upcoming meeting. That's what we go to the Caribbean.
We might have to look something like that. Steph is extremely excited about having the event at Epcot for the podcasting mastermind that we're doing September 30th and October 1st, because it's celebrations. And the last time they're having Illuminations play there at Epcot before they change it up. So
I haven't seen it, so I can't wait.
You can't wait for it. We're excited to see you guys there, therefore. So big shout out to everybody watching: Junior, Claudine, Stephanie, Julie Patton, Mark Highland, Teresa. Thanks for joining. Thanks for sharing, guys. Get some love out there on our Facebook family out there. But guys, take the opportunity. Check them out at creditsense.com or Fundability Bootcamp, right? Funding Hackers Bootcamp. I'm sorry.
Fundinghackers.com and creditsense.com is fundinghackers.com is better because it actually gives you the information about the bootcamp. If you want to know about our company, great. Let's go to CreditSense. But Funding Hackers gives you all the Q&As. It gives you, there's literally hundreds of testimonials of people who've been there who are like, WTF, this is insane. Why didn't we know this in high school or college? Well, now you know, so let's do something about it.
Mm-hmm. Glad to hear that. And you've got some, Funding Hackers podcast in the works as well, too.
Oh, snap. Are you effable? We are going to be starting here before, I believe it's going to be like an August 15th launch date. But we're starting a podcast in which your beloved Scott Carson is going to be one of our first folks. And so the roles will be reversed. But the bottom line is that we're going to be talking about this podcast every single day, 5 days a week, Monday through Friday. We're going to be doing deeper and deeper dives into every one of these situations, and have amazing guests who are going to be able to apply what we're talking about there with fundability into notes and real estate and entrepreneurial skills. So be on the lookout for that. Also, if you want to go to fundinghackers.com/book, you can get it. You can reserve my new book. Are you effable or just F? And we all know that's fundable, right? So we are. That's going to be coming out here as well shortly. It's in editing right now. So if I'm a good writer, it'll take less time. If I suck, it needs a little more time.
It's already been written, just being edited. That's a good thing. Good stuff. Well, hey, Merrill, thank you so much. I think great episode. Lots of great people sharing some things out there. Laura Blunk says, love that slogan, Are You Effable? Stephanie Goodman says, it's about time on the podcast, which is good stuff there for you. But anyway, everybody, once again, thank you for listening. Thank you for watching this. Take Merrill up on his offer. Check it out. Fundinghackers.com. You want to go there, reserve your seat, whether it's in person in Vegas, yeah, baby, or online. And then also check out the future dates because you're having these boot camps usually at least once a month.
Once a month, and except where there's a holiday, it's usually in the second to the last or the last weekend of the month. It won't, second to the last weekend of the month. Yep.
Good stuff, brother. You guys take care. And once again, everybody go check it out, fundinghackers.com, creditsense.com. The only way to really make some action, you got 6 months, literally, we're coming to the halfway point of the year. It's up to you to make the second half of the year. And wouldn't you rather be sitting come December, come January, 6 months further along on your journey to being fundable, to being effable, to being having those lines of credit, to be able to take advantage of what's going on in the market. There are some major economists coming out there saying, hey, we're going to see recession, or the United States is already in mid-recession right now. It may not be as extreme as it was 10 years ago, but things are already starting to trickle down. So take the advantage to be able to pick up those properties, pick up those notes, be able to lend that money at prime, at hard money or private money rates to really put the money in your pocket. So go out, take some action, and we'll see everybody at the top, everybody. Bye.